Alright guys, so today we're going to have the first of what will end up being many deck profiles from Cardfight Vanguard Deer Days on the Nintendo Switch. And this one we're going to be focusing on version 1 of our Keter Sanctuary Gramgrace deck. Which version 1 is going to be everything up through the first additional card pass, so everything through the booster set 7. The reason I'm cutting it off there and not including any of the additional Card Pass 2 cards is because I haven't bought additional Card Pass 2 yet. And all the DLC for this game is ridiculously overpriced, so I'm putting it off as long as I can. But anyway, this deck is the canonical deck for the main character you play as in this game, Yuki Ichidoji. So what we'll do here is we'll run through the deck real fast. I'll explain all the cards, and then after that we'll do one fight to kind of show the deck in action. So diving right in here first with our ride deck. Now Gramgrace is sort of a special case where he's one of the standalone bosses in D series, and he doesn't have a proper ride line to himself like most of the boss units do. So for this we ended up actually repurposing the blaster ride line, which ends up working pretty well with him. So first of all, our grade 0 starter is Wingal Brave, which all the starters in D series have the same skill. It's just auto when this unit is rode upon. If you win second, draw a card. So nothing special there, but it is important that we are using Wingal Brave specifically, because our grade 1 is Little Sage Marin. So he's got two abilities. First, auto when this unit is rode upon by a grade 2 with blaster in its card name. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to one grade 2 with blaster and its card name from among them, reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. If you did not reveal a card, choose a Wingal Brave from your soul and you may call it to rearguard circle. Then he's got a continuous ability. When he's on rearguard circle during your turn, if you have 3 or more units, this unit gets power plus 2000. Now, since I'm not running any extra Marin in the main deck, he's pretty much never on rearguard, so that continuous ability is pretty much never used. But his auto ability is used. Now, I'm not running any grade 2 blasters in the main deck either, so that means his search is always going to fail. And that means this card will be guaranteed to Superior Call Wingal Brave from your soul every turn. Which is important, since our grade 2 is Blaster Dark. So he's got an auto when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. You can counterblast one and retire one of your other rearguards. To choose one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, and this unit gets drive plus 1 until end of turn. And then again, continuous ability on rearguard during your turn. If your rearguard was retired this turn, this unit gets power plus 5000. Once again, he's never going to be on Rearguard Circle, so that continuous ability isn't used for anything. But his on ride ability is used, and you have to have a rearguard out to retire in order to pay the cost. So you use Marin's skill to Superior Call Wingal Brave, and then retire Wingal Brave to pay his cost, giving you the extra drive check, which more chances to get triggers is always good. Plus, if your opponent has called anything at that point, you get a retire out of it too. So overall, it works pretty good. And then of course our grade 3 is our boss unit, Sword Saint Night Dragon Gramgrace. So he's got 3 abilities. First is a continuous ability that says your Persona Ride also increases the power of your back row units. Now this ability is really useful since Persona Ride usually only powers up your front row by 10k and lets you draw one. If Gramgrace is your Vanguard, you can power up both your front and back row, so that makes your columns really powerful if you got a full field. Now his next 2 abilities actually work together with each other. So first he's got an activate ability. Once per turn, you can counterblast one and soul blast one to draw a card. Choose a card from your hand, call it to back row center rearguard circle, and until end of turn that unit can attack from the back row and gets power plus 10,000. Then he's got an auto ability that says at the end of the battle your back row center rearguard attacked, you can put that unit into your soul and draw a card. So these 2 abilities work together. They let you cycle through your deck a lot. It lets you get a 4th attack in from your back row center rearguard while also giving them extra power. and then it replaces itself at the end of the turn with a card in your hand, so you can have more defense as well. So overall, it's a really offensive card. Makes for some really cool combos. So moving on to the main deck, we are running 3 additional copies of Gramgrace for Persona Ride reasons. You definitely want to get that Persona Ride as much as possible, considering his first skill. So next for our grade 3s, we are running 4 copies of Knight of Soaring Blade Fernbale, which is spelled with 2 F's for some undetermined reason. But anyway, he's got auto ability when he's on back row center rear guard circle. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can Soul Blast 1 and discard a card from your hand to choose one of your Vanguards with Gramgrace in its card name, and it gets power plus 10,000, drive plus 1 until end of turn. So this is going to be your main target to Superior Call off of Gramgrace's skill. Have him attack from your back row, and then you can shove him in your soul and either Soul Blast him out or Soul Blast something else in order to power up Gramgrace and get an extra drive. Now, the drive isn't going to be a plus because you have to discard to get it, but again, extra trigger chances are always a good thing. And giving more power to Gramgrace is a good thing too, considering that since your back row center rear guard is going to be attacking, you're not going to have anything to boost Gramgrace with, so the extra power does help too. So next we're running 2 copies of Spinning Knight Gwendolyn. So she's got a continuous ability during the battle this unit attacked. If you Persona Road this turn, this unit gets power plus 5,000, and when your opponent will call cards from their hand to Guardian Circle, they must call 2 or more at the same time. So this card is only active on Persona Ride turns, but it does give you Guard Restrict and powers itself up in addition to the power up from the Persona Ride. So if you got her in your front row with something behind her, she can hit some pretty high numbers. Especially if you check some triggers and stack them on top of her. So she can easily get into Perfect Guard territory and force them to waste cards along with the Perfect Guard due to her Guard Restrict. And she works on the back row center too, so if you don't have Fernbale or anything better to call to that spot, you can plop her in the back row and she works there just as well. So pretty versatile card, very helpful. So next, we're running 3 copies of Knight of War Damage Fosato, who has 2 abilities. First, continuous. This unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects, so just a protection ability can stop your opponent from retiring him, binding him, bottom decking him, etc. And then he's got an auto ability. It says when this unit's attack hits, you can counter charge 1 and soul charge 1. So he's got a hit, which is, you know, iffy if that'll happen since your opponent can just block it. But if he does hit, you can regain some resources, which is very helpful in this deck. Especially the soul. Generally, the soul is more tight than your counterblast in this deck. But yeah, extra resources is always helpful. So that's all of our grade 3s. Moving on to the grade 2s, we are running 4 copies of Divine Sister Langue du Chat, I think is how you pronounce that. I think that's like a French cookie or something. I might be butchering that. But anyway, she's got a continuous ability that says if your soul has a grade 3 or greater card, this unit gets boost and power plus 5,000. So again, she powers herself up and she gains boost, which all you have to do is have a grade 3 in your soul. That's pretty easy to do considering between your Persona rides and shoving Fernbale into your soul with Gramgrace's skill, it's pretty easy to get the grade 3 in there. And one thing that's really important with this deck, since Gramgrace can power up your entire field, one of the things you really want to do is actually fill up your entire field. And since she gains boost, you can plop her in the back row, you can plop her in the front row, you can put her in back row center to be your 4th attacker if you don't have anything better, which usually you will. But anywhere you need her to go, she can go there and fill in that slot. So it helps a lot in getting your field full, which is important for your big Persona ride turns when you really want to push hard. So next we're running 2 copies of, again, I'm going to try my best with these names, Knight of Rendering Flash Carbra, I think is how you say that. Maybe, I think it's Irish. Anyway, he's got an auto ability. When this unit's placed on rear guard circle, you can counterblast 1 and soul blast 1. To look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose a card from among them, reveal it, call it to rearguard circle if it is a grade 2 or less unit card, and put it into your hand if it is not, and then shuffle your deck. So, this card is very useful. It can help you search out your grade 3s, which we have quite a few of. It can get Gramgrace into your hand for a Persona ride on the next turn. It can get Fernbale into your hand to Superior Call off a Gramgrace's skill. If you want to call a grade 2 or lower, like Long Desha or whoever else to rearguard to fill in a slot, you can use that for that too. So it's very helpful in letting you dig and get what you need. It is kind of cost heavy, especially again on the Soul Blast more than the Counter Blast. But if you've got the resources to spare, then it can be helpful. So I'm running it too. So then we're running 2 copies of Knight of Heavenly Flash Ecclesia, which is a card I'm kind of running mostly because I really love her art. But she's got an auto ability once per turn when this unit attacks. If you have another grade 3 in the same column as this unit gets grade +1 and power +5,000 until end of turn. So the grade +1 doesn't really affect anything. This card was meant to be Bastion support, but it's kind of irrelevant here. The extra power is helpful. If you plop her in your back row center off of Gramgrace's skill, her condition to be guaranteed to be met since she'll be behind your Vanguard. So she can be a backup to Fernbale, or if you end up going first, she can be your turn 3 back row attacker, since Fernbale requires your opponent to have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard. His skill wouldn't be active on turn 3 if he went first, and hers would be. So I mostly use her for that one specific situation, and then as a backup to Fernbale if I don't have him in my hand. So that's all for the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s, we're running 4 copies of Knight of Gale Seinbluger. These names, I'm doing my best with these names. But anyway, she's got a continuous ability during your turn. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power +5,000. So, very generic skill, but she kind of fills the same role as Long Desha does, where she's a card I can just plop anywhere, and she can fill in that role. She can be a 13k booster, she can be a 13k attacker, 23k on Persona Ride turns. So, again, she's just a good fill-in-a-slot card. So, next we are running 2 copies of Diffuser Angel, which is kind of an odd choice, probably. I'm running this in lieu of Drilling Angel, and the reason I'm doing that, this is a stupid reason, but I absolutely hate Drilling Angel's artwork. Like, I don't even know why, just every time I look at it, it makes me angry. So, if you'd rather replace this with Drilling Angel, you know, feel free. Drilling Angel isn't a minus, and this is. So, that's probably objectively the better choice, but I went with this instead. So, he's got an auto ability when he's placed on rearguard circle. You can put a card from your hand into your soul, choose one of your Vanguards, and that unit and this unit get power +5,000 until end of turn. So, this card is mostly here just to give me extra soul, because again, the soul can get tight between Gramgrace and Fernbale's abilities. So, if I need the extra soul, I can put one from my hand in and power up both him and Gramgrace, which again is helpful since Gramgrace isn't going to get boosted. So, he is useful. Drilling Angel lets you put one from your drop into your soul instead, so again, that would probably be the better choice, but I went with this for artwork reasons. So, then for our only other grade 1s, we are running our Sentinels. So, we have 3 copies of Palladium Zeal Dragon, which is, of course, just a standard perfect guard. When it's put on Guardian Circle, choose one of your units. It cannot be hit until the end of that battle, and if your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand, discard it. So, definitely want your perfect guards. If you're new to the game, let me tell you, you definitely want your perfect guards. So, we're running 3 of those, and then for our last Sentinel, we are running 1 copy of the Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude, which you can only have 1 copy of Elementaria Sanctitude in your deck. And if your opponent has triple drive, then this ability can be played without paying the cost. So normally you'd have to discard a card from your hand to guard with this. But again, if you're playing against a grade 4 deck and they have triple drive, you can do it for free. So it's situationally free. So is Palladium Zeal, but it's a different situation. It's free. Obviously, it won't work in grade 4 decks, which is not relevant here. So if you can run it, it's good to run at a 1. Also, it's helpful for certain decks that have guard restrict, since, you know, if they got an ability that blocks you from calling Sentinels to Guardian Circle. This is a Blitz order, so it never hits Guardian Circle, so that can let you get around that and still perfect guard those attacks. So that's all the grade 1s. Moving on to our grade 0s, we just have our trigger lineup, which is 7 crits, 4 fronts, 4 heal, and 1 over. So for our crits, I'm running 4 copies of Blade Feather Dragon, which is the crit with a skill that says at the end of the battle this unit boosted. You can put it into your soul to choose one of your units, and it gets power plus 2000 until end of turn. I don't have to use that skill much, but it's there if you need it. If you're really desperate for soul, you can do that and get extra soul out of it. So beyond that, our other crit is just Knight of Heavenly Hammer Gargant, which I'm running at 3. Vanilla crits, you can run whichever one you want the artwork of. For our fronts, we are running 4 copies of Bard of Heavenly Song Alpac. So continuous ability, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets shield plus 5000. So 20k shield, extra shield, always a good thing. And then for our heals, I'm running 4 copies of Palpitation Angel, just the vanilla heal. If you want to run the effect heals, you can. I prefer the consistency of the regular heals versus the more situational benefits of those. But that's really just player preference, so whatever you want to do. And then lastly, of course, our over trigger is Light Dragon Deity of Honors Martinoa. So his additional effect until end of turn, you also perform drive checks for the Battles Your Rear Guards attack. So that's very useful. We got a lot of grade 3 rear guards in this deck, so those will get twin drive. If you have Fernbale in your back row center, you are going to attack with him before your Vanguard. But if you have someone else back there, you can attack with Gramgrace first, and if you check this, you can actually have 3 rearguard attacks, all getting drive checks. So that can end up being pretty nasty. So yeah, overall that is the deck. Now we are going to go ahead and play one fight with it to kind of show it in action. So we'll play against Kanji since that was the story. Alright, so we are going first. I'll put most of that hand back, actually.
Stand up, Vanguard.
Alright, so we'll discard her. Ride Marin. And go ahead and end our turn. Which they did actually wind up giving Gramgrace a ride line in that stand-up deck set that they released. It was a very generic ride line, and they're actually including those stand-up deck set cards in the D-Booster Set 10 in the second card pass, which is out later this month. But honestly, I'll probably end up just sticking with this ride line because I actually think it's better than the generic one. Yeah, we'll let that do. I need the damage for Blaster Dark. No trigger. And I'll let that one through too. Front trigger, that is wasted. Alright. Discard him, ride Blaster Dark. So now we can use Marin's skill to check the top 7, which of course will have no blasters since there's none in the deck. So we can Superior Call Wingull Brave, and then use Blaster Dark skill, Counter Blast and retire. And now we can pick off one of his rear guards, so we'll get rid of Brainwash Swirler since he can be annoying. And now we got extra drive out of that too. I could call Long to Sha, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to attack. Get our twin drive. There's Ecclesia, which I needed. There's a heal trigger, which I get. So I'll heal 1 damage. Alright, so that worked out pretty good.
これが私の本気よ。アタック。ダメージチェック。クリティカルトリガー。クリティカルプラス。パワープラス。
And he wasted a crit on that.
ターンエンド。僕のターン。ドロー。ライト。スキル発動。コール。コール。ヴァンガードにアタック。
If that hits, he'll get the soul charge, but I'm gonna let it through anyway.
ダメージチェック。よし。
Nice, got a front trigger.
パワープラス。
That'll be helpful.
スキル発動。
And now he'll get his soul charge in.
ヴァンガードにアタック。
And now he has to pull a trigger for that to even hit, so I'm gonna no guard that.
ドライブチェック。
And he did not. And now his last rear guard won't be able to hit either.
スタンド&ドロー。
Pull my other Ecclesia, alright. We don't need both those, so we'll drop one of the Ecclesias
さあ。
to ride into Gramgrace.
ライド。
So now we'll go ahead and use Gramgrace's ability. Counter Blast and Soul Blast.
私に分がありそうね。スキル発動。
And we will draw. Go another heal, gonna be out of heals. And we'll call Ecclesia
ペリオルコール。
to
パワ
back
ー
row
プ
center.
ラス。
Power her up. And then, let's see. I'll go ahead and call Carbra and use his skill. Counter Blast and Soul
スキル
Blast.
発動。
Now we can check the top 3. And there is Gramgrace, so we'll go ahead and add him to our hand. So we'll have our Persona ride next turn. And then we'll call Langdasha. And I guess that's it for right now. So we'll go ahead and attack. Attack with Gramgrace first.
ノーガード。ドライブチェック。
Got a Persona ride copy anyway.
ドライブチェック。
And there's Falsetto, so no triggers.
これが私の本気よ。アタック。 ダメージチェック。
Alright. Knock down one of his perfect arts. So then we'll attack with
ヴァンガード
Ecclesia.
にアタック。スキル
Use
発
her
動。
skill to give her an extra 5k.
パワープラス。ノーガード。ダメージチェック。
Again, no trigger. So now Gramgrace's skill. Shove Ecclesia into the soul and draw. Which I drew another friend bill. So let's see, we'll attack. You know what? I'm gonna pick off his rear guards here actually, I think.
ノーガード。
Because he's going to be picking off mine next turn when he rides Favrenil, so weaken his offense too a little bit.
僕のターン。ドロー。このターンで終わりにしよう。ライト。終局の
So
時。
now Favrenil's skill, I had to retire one of my rear guards. I do get to choose, so we'll take out Carbra,
スキル発動。
and then he'll get to put a card into his soul.
スキル発動。コール。スキル
Oh,
発動。
well, he's going to use Vorpal Scythe and kill my other rear guard too.
スキル発動。
If he can get 13 grades into his soul, then he can restand his Vanguard. So when he gets through with his main phase, I probably need to check his soul and see what his grade count is.
コール。スキル発動。
Which he's probably going to get it considering how much he's soul charging right now.
パワープラス。ヴァンガードにアタックだ。
Let's check that soul real fast. Yeah, he has it by a lot, so he'll be able to restand his Vanguard. So you know what? I'm gonna block this one.
ガード。
And then we'll let his Vanguard attack through.
ノーガード。
ドライブチェックドロートリガ
He
ー
gets a draw trigger.
パワープラス
I was running draw triggers in this deck for a while, but I actually ran into some deck out problems with Gramgrace cycling through your deck so much. If a game went long, I actually did deck out a few times, so I ended up swapping the draws out for fronts, and I think that worked
ダ
better.
メージチェック。クリティカルトリガー。
I got a crit, nice.
クリティカルプラス。
That power boost will help.
終局の時
So now he's gonna get to
キ
restand.
ル発動ヴァンガ
And
ー
he
ド
only
にア
gets
タッ
one drive check with this one. So I think I'll let this one through too.
ノーガード。
クドライブチェッククリティカルトリガ
And
ー
he gets a critical trigger.
クリティカル
Alright, so that puts to 5, but
パワ
we'll be
ー
fine.
プラス君に守りきれるかなアタック
ダメージチェック。
No trigger.
ダメージチェック。
And no trigger. That doesn't what our perfect guards do.
ヴァンガードにアタックだ
Eee, that's 41,000. Let's see. I have to use both those. Got too many grade 3s in my hand right now.
ターンエン
スタンド&ドロー。
And I drew my over trigger. That's wonderful. Alright, we're gonna Persona Ride.
ペルソナライド。
And draw a trigger again. That's real good. Okay, we'll use Gramgrace's skill.
スキル発動。
Counter Blast and
こ
Soul
れが
Blast.
今の私のすべて。
And now we can call Fern Bale.
スペリオルコール。パワープラス。
And then I can call Fosato to the fronts. And I'm gonna call Diffuser Angel and actually not use his skill, but I need the extra attack. So I guess that's all we can do for right now. So we're gonna attack with Fern Bale
ヴァンガー
first.
ドにアタック。
ドノーガードダメージチェック
So now we can use Gramgrace's skill first to shove Fern Bale into the soul. And then we'll use Fern Bale's skill, the Soul Blast, and discard 1. I hate to, I'm gonna have to discard
スキル
our
発動。
pop.
パワープラス。
So now we'll gain power and an extra drive. So we'll attack with Gramgrace with the triple drive. And he drops a lot of cards to block that.
ドライブチェック。
Alright, no trigger.
ドライブチェック。
Perfect guard. Might need that.
ドライブチェック。よし。
And a front trigger, nice.
パワ
So
ー
that
プ
powers
ラ
up
ス
my。front row. So now we'll attack with
ヴァンガ
Fosato.
ードにアタック。
ノーガードダメージチェッククリティカル
And
ト
he
リ
gets a
ガー
critical trigger.
クリティカル
If
プラス
Fosato hits, so I'll get to counter charge and soul charge off of his ability.
スキル発動。
Counter charge him. So now I'll attack with Diffuser Angel,
ヴァンガードにアタッ
which
ク。
will probably be able to block. Yep.
ガード
ターンエンド。
スタンド
Alright, we got 2 perfect guards and an over trigger in our hand,
キル
so
発動この場は
maybe we can
僕が
guard
制圧
Diffuser's
した
about to get sniped. Fosato can't be chosen though, so he's safe from being retired unless he attacks into him.
スキル発動コールスキル発動スキル発動パワープラススキル発動
He's powering up his swirlers again.
ヴァンガードにアタック
Alright, I have to block all of these. Let's see. I'll have to use all puck.
ガード
Vanguard にアタック
We'll guard with our over trigger for that one.
ガード
ドライブチェックドライブチェック
Alright, you got no triggers off of that.
Skill 発動
And now he's gonna restand again.
ヴァンガードにアタック
And I'm gonna have to use my perfect guard.
スキル発動
And I hate to, but I had to discard Long the Shot.
完全ガード
ドライブチェック ヴァンガードにアタック
I'm gonna discard again. I'm gonna have to probably gonna have to give out that Fern Veil actually, which I really didn't want to do.
スキル発動
But I need the other two more, so I'm gonna discard him.
完全ガード
And hope I draw another
ス
one.
タンドドロー
Alright, so you know what? I'm gonna get cocky. I'm gonna declare final turn.
あなたには絶対負けない
Because he's only got 5 cards in his hand, so we're gonna Persona Ride.
ペルソナライド
Boom. And now we're gonna use Gramgrace's skill, Counter Blast, and Soul
ス
Blast.
キル発動これが今の私のすべて
And we drew Long the Shah. So let's see. You know what? I'll call her to my back
ス
row
ペリオルコール
center. And then we'll call Gwendolyn to the front,
コール
along with Scene Bluger behind her. And I'm going all in, so you know what? I'm just going to call my trigger too. Why not? So now we can attack. And we'll attack with Gramgrace first. Do not
ヴァン
boost.
ガードにアタック
Vanguard with his over trigger.
ガー
ドライブチェック
So that's not
よ
going to do.
しヒールトリガ
I
ー
do get a heal. So I heal 1. And I'll give the power to Gwendolyn.
パワープラスドライブチェッククリティカルトリガー
And I get a critical trigger. So I'm going to give both effects to Gwendolyn as well.
プラスパワープラス
And now I'm going to attack with Long
ヴァン
the
ガー
Shah.
ドにアタック
Any perfect guards.
スキル発動完全ガード
And then we can use Gramgrace's skill to cycle her into the soul and draw. Oh, there's the Fernville. Alright, so we'll attack with Gwendolyn, who has guard restrict since I Persona Road this turn. 66 or 71,002 critical.
ダメージ
And
チェ
it
ック
hits.
ドロートリガー
And a draw does not hit you, so we won.
パワープラス
Alright.
私の勝ちねやった
So there you go. That was our Gramgrace deck version 1. I will eventually do a version 2 of this deck after I end up purchasing the second card pass DLC. I'm not really sure when that'll be. We'll be back soon with many more deck profiles. We're going to be doing Favernil next. So yeah, I guess right now that's it for this video. So lots of luck to you and yours.